welcome to Green Generation, the podcast where we discuss the most pressing environmental issues and the incredible role of youth in driving change. We all know that climate change is one of the greatest challenges humanity has ever faced, but young people are stepping up as leaders, innovators, and advocates for a greener and more sustainable future. They're not just talking about change, they're making it happen. I'm Amira, and today we'll dive into youth climate activism in the European Union, and we'll explore the critical role young people play in shaping European Union climate policy and discuss how their voices are influencing decisions at the highest levels. To explore this, I'm joined by two special guests. First, we have Mathilde, the European Commissioner for Environment. Welcome, Mathilde.
Thank you for having me, Amira. It's a pleasure to be here.
And we are also joined by Martin, a passionate youth climate activist. Welcome to the podcast, Martin.
Thank you, Amir. I am really excited to be here and share my perspective.
So let's start with you, Mathilde. What do you think is the European Union's current approach to tackling climate change? And how do you see youth activism influencing these policies?
Yeah, so first of all, I wanted to say that young people are the heart of climate movement and they're the ones that in the future will lead the European Union. So we need them to feel invested right now for the future, to go to vote and to be here first of all. They are the ones that are invested in their future, and so the topic where they are the most invested is climate change. Their activism, whether through protest or direct engagements with institutions, pushes us to prioritize climate change policy and set up ambitious goals. Youth activism has played a significant role in accelerating political discussion. For example, after the 2019 European election, youth climate strikes across Europe pushed climate change to the top of our political agenda. According to Eurobarometer polls, 93% of EU citizens see climate change as a serious issue, and 77% support stronger European action on the climate crisis. The European Union has been at the forefront of climate action. We've committed to becoming the first climate-neutral continent by 2050 through European Green Deal, which aims to reduce emissions by at least 55% by 2030 compared to 1990 levels.
That's impressive. Let's also hear from the activist. So, Martin, what do you think about the European Union's climate goals? Are they ambitious enough?
You know, it's great that the EU is making such commitments, but to be honest, the reality on the ground doesn't match the promises. Let's remember, Europe is still the world's third largest emitter of CO2. The policies are there, but enforcement is weak, and many countries are lagging behind. For example, a recent study from Climate Action Tracker shows that only 4 out of the 27 EU countries are on the track to meet the 2030 targets. This gap is what we, young activists, are fighting to close. We are demanding real action, not just promises.
Mathilde, there are already existing youth movements like Fridays for Future, for example. How do you think they're changing the way European Union institutions approach climate policy?
That's a great question. One of the biggest impacts of youth movement has been to highlight the urgency. Before Greta Thunberg movement, many politicians were hesitant to take bold action due to economic concern, for example. But after the strikes, the public pressure at everything it changed. For instance, in 2021 in Germany, youth climate protests influenced the Constitutional Court's decision, which ruled that government climate protection laws were insufficient and violated the right of future generations. Youth are also shaping policy for initiatives like the European Citizen Initiative, which allows citizens to propose legislative changes. One example is the Stop Global Warming initiative, which collected nearly 1.2 million signatures, which has been sent to the Commission.
Yeah, we see that youth activists like you, Martin, are already making a great impact out there. But what do you think European Union leaders are missing when it comes to listening to young people? And what do you suggest?
Well, We think that they are not listening enough to the frontline communities and to those already suffering from climate impacts. In Southern Europe, for example, climate change has caused a 45% increase in heat waves over the past decade, and wildfires in countries like Greece, Spain and Portugal have cost billions in damages. We want EU leaders to implement binding measures to hold countries accountable. For instance, we are calling for a climate accountability mechanism that penalizes countries who fail to meet their targets. And we want to be able to fully participate in the establishment of those measures. We need a louder voice from the inside. Our future depends on it.
Following what Martin said, what concrete measures is the European Union taking to support young people in climate action, Mathilde?
Well, as the European Union, we've launched several initiatives to engage young people directly. For example, the European Climate Pact, which encourages citizens to take part in climate action, or the Just Transition Fund, which allocated 70.5 billion euros to support regions and workers' transition away from fossil fuels. We've also introduced other initiatives such as the Fit for 55 package. But I agree that we need to improve and ensure that no countries fall behind. However, some of the climate issues in the European Union are intergovernmental, but some are supranational too. So also the member state has to take proper action without the European Union, even if the European Union has to push them to do it.
And if you, Martin, could send one message to European Union leaders today, what would it be?
Well, Amira, my message would be listen to science, listen to the youth, and act now. The window for keeping global warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius is closing fast. We need bold, transformative action, not just empty words. Young people are already taking action, but we need governments to back us with policies that ensure a just and sustainable future. According to the EU's emission gap report, current policies will lead us to a 2.7 degrees increase, which is far beyond safe limits.
Finally, what advice would you give to young people who want to make a difference?
Well, start small but dream big. Join a local climate group or start one yourself. Use social media to spread your message and connect with others. And don't be afraid to reach out to policymakers. They need to hear from us. Remember, every action counts.
So thank you both for joining me today and for the incredible work you're doing to tackle the climate crisis. This has been an insightful conversation. And to our listeners, remember, every voice matters in building a sustainable future. Don't forget to subscribe to Green Generation for more inspiring discussions. And until next time, stay inspired and stay green.